Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here, and in today's video we are going to be doing some hands-on experimental archaeology. Now, in the field of archaeology, there's all this book work and all this history, and that history keeps getting reevaluated, but we have what we call armchair archaeology, right? It's where people sit and assume things. These are educated assumptions, but still they're done without actually trying these things out. So in the past 100 years, we've started to have this new idea of, instead of just like collecting artifacts and trying to interpret them, that instead, why don't we actually try doing these things and seeing what we learn? And sometimes it can be very illuminating. Now, some of it's just cut and dry. Some of these technologies are still around today, but some of them you can learn something by doing them yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at an artifact at the Hutchings Museum, and we're going to try to replicate it in smaller form, and then I will share with you after what I've learned in the process of making it. I'm here at the Hutchings Museum, and we're taking a look at one of the most extraordinary artifacts in this collection. This is a yucca mat. It's woven out of fibers from the banana yucca plant. Now, at archaeological sites, sometimes people will find a little segment, maybe this big, of such a mat. These things disintegrate over time. This thing is about 8 feet tall. It's incredible. But how was it actually made? Well, I want to demonstrate this. Now, I've done other videos with yucca showing how to make yucca sandals and make yucca rope. And the first part of that process is very similar. And then we weave and are going to make a mat. Experimental archaeology is a thing where we get to actually learn by doing. And we get new perspectives by doing that. So I'm going to try to replicate 2 versions of this on one small piece. So this is a typical Puebloan weave, ancestral Puebloan weave. The Mogollon weave is over 2 under 1, over 2 under 1. So I'm going to try to make a small mat, a version of this. It's probably going to be a little looser in its weave because we're just trying to replicate the process. Half of it is going to be this style, half of it is going to be the Mogollon style. So let's see if we can do this, and we're going to show this step by step. So the first thing we have to do is go get some yucca leaves. Now, these fronds or leaves from yucca, you can use many different species, but this is the best. Banana yucca is the absolute best. Now, these little stringy things on the side terminate in very sharp, slivery little things, so you got to be careful. And you kind of burn off the edges. Now, you got to cook these over a fire. And again, these you want to get as long as possible. As they start to cook from the inside out, they start to turn a darker green. That is the water inside the leaf boiling it. You have to keep moving these so they don't burn too much, but normally the water inside will keep it. Now this is sped up, and you can see as it cooks, as the water boils, it chemically changes them. Now once you have this all done, then you're going to go ahead and start to cut these into strips. You got to determine the size you want to make based off of if you are making sandals or if you are weaving a mat. In this case, we're weaving a mat, so we're just going to cut these, and then we're going to hammer them outside. I'm going to take a moose antler, and we're going to kind of break down the fibers a little further. We don't want to completely destroy it, but we want to soften those fibers up so they're easier to weave. Now then, we're going to take these 2 ends, we're going to fold one piece and fold the other, and make this little 4-pronged piece here. We're going to make 2 of these, and we're going to overlap them together, and we're going to start to weave them in. Now, up to this point, this is the same technique as if we are making sandals or making a mat. So either way, this is the beginning, and you just work it and tighten it, work it, tighten it, keep moving them over until you get it properly tightened, something looking kind of like this. Now, at this stage, we vary. If we're going to make a sandal, we keep weaving both sides up. But if we're going to make a mat, we're going to start on the left side and start weaving that up. Now, we're going to go ahead and do that here. And we're going to take and make 2 more of these 4-pronged sections and start to weave them in on the right-hand side. Now, this is very difficult to film and demonstrate, but you can see what we're going for. So we're essentially weaving two sandals together. Now along the way, a lot of this yucca is burnt over the fire that I'm getting down to, so I'm just going to scrape off some of that outside skin with a utility knife blade, just so it's a little more uniform and nicer to work with. And then you end up with a mat. Now this is different. Part of this is done Mogollon style, and part of this is ancestral Puebloan. Mogollon is over, under, over one, under two, over one, under two. And anasazi just over, or sorry, Puebloan is just over, under, over, under. So when you get to this stage, you're going to go ahead and cut these off. And you can see my weave is very loose. That's okay, because we're just showing the how-to. If you want to take your time to do this right, it's more traditional to weave this in a firmer pattern, but we do find patterns this loose as well in the Southwest. So again, we have two different styles here. We have ancestral Puebloan on the top now, and Mogollon on the top, and ancestral Puebloan on the bottom. And again, you weave through these stages just using a piece like this. Again, this is a little piece of bone, and that's how you weave it. It's really no different than making two sandals and weaving them together. If we're making this bigger, we would just add more sandals as we go along. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing that. Again, it's kind of an interesting process. So what did I learn from this? Well, first of all, the basic pattern, the basic Puebloan pattern for weaving is the same thing we find today throughout Southeast Asia and much of the Pacific. A lot of people, a lot of tribes will use palm fronds, and they will do the same weave. So this is not a lost art per se, but it's a very different fiber using raffia palms. It's quite a bit different and quite a bit easier. This is a much more labor-intense process. And just like with any art form, the more you do it, the more you develop muscle memory, just like learning to play the piano. So part of what I learned is that I made my fibers way too wide and way too thick. Now, normally when I do this weave, this is the same weave that I do when I'm making sandals. If I'm making yucca sandals, I'm making them thicker, denser, because they're going to have to put up with me walking on them. That's very different if you're weaving a mat. So looking back at the actual weave, I can see now retrospectively that the mat was woven with far narrower and far thinner fibers. This makes it a lot easier to interweave and to keep a uniformity to the whole project. Now, this is going to dry out and shrink. So that's another factor in as well. I would think if you were making one of these, you would, as it dries, you give it a few days to dry and you tighten it up, cinch it up as you're going so that that weave will stay all together. But well, I also learned it's very hard on the hands. Got a lot of blisters and just really kind of tore off the first few layers of skin just working that coarse yucca fiber. So again, this is something you're going to be doing a lot. Then this is something you're going to have a lot of calluses from this sort of work. And you're going to develop that muscle memory, and you're just going to be able to weave really well. Now, I did this, half of this I did the Puebloan style, which is just over, under, and half of it I did Mogollon, which is over 2, under 1, over 2, under 1. And it was hard to keep track of these. I think it would be easier to keep track of these if I had made them thinner. But still, doing 2 weaves and then doing 4 weaves and getting them all together, it takes a lot to get it straight in your head. And again, this is something that I think if you're an old master where you've been doing this for years, I think it would just be super matter of fact and super easy. No different than people who do crocheting and they just almost do it subconsciously and it's just a muscle memory thing and they get really good at it. So it would have taken a lot of work. It would have taken many days to weave a mat this big. Again, this is a project that you could also have many people working on together at the same time. I think it's also possible, if you notice my finished piece, there's light and dark depending on how things charred. Well, you could do that intentionally. You could intentionally char some pieces of yucca and you could weave an elaborate pattern. But again, the march of time and the gamma rays from the sun break down whatever those pigments are. So it's possible that this enormous mat on display at the Hutchings Museum may have originally had an elaborate pattern, a colored pattern, a pigmented pattern that doesn't have any more. We can't know that for sure, but somebody who's going to take that amount of time to weave might also want to do more artistic expression involved as well. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this. Hope you learned a thing or two. I would love to know your thoughts and your comments. Again, I would have, if I went back and did it again, I would do the H blade. I would weave, I would make it much narrower and much thinner and make it more uniform in the weave. But I learned a lot and it was cool to make. Hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know your comments. If you haven't already, if you could hit subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. And always remember that life is a gift. So never stop learning and never stop exploring. We'll see you next time.